Dynasty rookie mock draft. We are less than a week from the round 1 of the NFL draft. It's go time. We're jumping into it with a Dynasty rookie superflex mock draft, just the 3-round today. So we're just going to jump right into it. I have the number 1 pick. We got 3 people here with us. And I've been saying basically since January, it's Caleb Williams for me. So let me start this draft actually. And I'm taking Caleb Williams. I don't know. I was kind of on the fence of Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, but I think it's Caleb, considering ever since they got Keenan Allen, I've been on the Caleb Williams fan club, I guess you could say. So any objections to that, guys?
No, not really.
Nah.
I mean, it's just gotta. He seems to be. I mean, maybe he's not the safest, but people are talking best quarterback prospects in Andrew Luck or whatever. So, Dad, where are you going with the 102? And by the way, we do have landing spots. I'll leave the link in the description. We'll kind of talk through it as we go. Obviously, Caleb Williams to the Bears. So yeah, Dad, go ahead. 102.
Yeah, the Commanders have said they're pretty comfortable and with the second pick there, so we go with Jaden Daniels. Even though seems to be a lot of chatter about Drake May.
Yeah, do you think they do? Do you think the Commanders do go Jaden Daniels if you had to put money on it?
Yeah, I would throw some money on it.
Yeah. Seems to be. Yep, Jaden Daniels, second overall to the Commanders. Although I do think where Drake May went makes it interesting, but we'll talk about that when that gets there. Not really much to talk about that we haven't already with it's kind of been the 1-2. Those guys have been in the top 3 again since January. So, Brian, where are you going with the 103?
Yeah, I think this is kind of the spot, like, that's kind of interesting with Drake May going to the Vikings in this mock. It's like, oh, that is interesting. Yeah, so, but honestly, I think I'm just going to have to go with Marvin Harrison here because I like the landing spots for a few other of these quarterbacks. And so I would hope, well, I don't know. I guess it's kind of hard to think about sometimes like, oh, I'm not the same team at 3, 6, 9, and 12, even though I'm going to be making those picks. But yeah, I'm just going to go with Marvin Harrison. I think the 3 spot is really, really good in this way.
Yep. Goes to the Cardinals. Again, those have been the top 3 guys. Again, I keep saying it since January. It hasn't really changed. I'd say Marvin Harrison in a 10-team league, I'd be okay with him at 101. And even if I'm stacked at quarterback, I'm probably still going to take Caleb or try to trade out of it if I have the 101 in a 12-team league. So, and yeah, you kind of alluded to it. What makes it interesting is Drake May. Drake May going to the Vikings. They trade up. They take him 3rd overall. It's kind of the fantasy like gold mine spot, right? Like Drake May or the Viking spot. It didn't matter who was quarterback last year. They were putting up, not Jaden Daniels. Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, and Nick Mullins were putting up top 12 seasons. So it's Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison. You're throwing it too. So could you even make an argument for him being the second quarterback, Dad, or do you think it should be Jaden because of his rushing ability?
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels played college football for 4 or 5 years, and so I think the one negative that I heard he was really taking a lot of hits there last year at LSU and stuff like that. I mean, that ain't gonna work. We've seen, and this guy is kind of slight in stature. We've seen Anthony Richardson not make it through even a half a season last year, and he was a big boy. So he's gonna have to learn. He's gonna have to learn to slide and get down and get out of bounds and all that other stuff. So I heard
that he plays like Josh Allen, but he's not.
Yeah,
close
and I don't
to Josh
think
Allen.
he doesn't have a body like Josh Allen, and
no.
But I've also heard that Drake May may not be a finished product, so he might him and McCarthy both, they need, they need to sit and learn and all that other stuff, but we'll see how NFL teams do it. So
yeah, I mean, he's going to the perfect spot. So that's it. That's 3 quarterbacks already gone. Dad, you're on at the 105. Who you taking at the 105?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Well, it's either Neighbors or a Dunze here, but I think we're going to roll with Malik Neighbors.
Yep, he goes 5th overall to the Jets. I mean, to the Chargers trade out. Jets move up. They get Neighbors. He's paired with Garrett Wilson. Do you like that landing spot? Do you not mind that Garrett Wilson's there, or does that like Brian? I assume you're at the 106. Are you taking a Dunze, or would you take a Dunze over Neighbors if it played out this way? Neighbors to the Jets, a Dunze to the Giants.
No, I still like this. I basically have it kind of written this way in my rankings. Like, I just kind of, like, based off of this mock, I kind of put these guys in order. Yeah, I think, Neighbors gets the better quarterback, like, definitely in Rodgers. I mean, we'll see what 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers looks like after the injury and stuff, but I mean, situation I feel like is better. The prospect is better. So yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Now, you will get people that will take a Dunze over Neighbors, I think, because it's like, well, Dunze clear number 1, Neighbors probably the number 2. But he could be a better prospect than Garrett Wilson. Like, that's how good he is. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So I guess I'm up, right, at 7?
No, sorry, I didn't even want a Dunze at 6. I want McCarthy actually.
Okay.
Just positional. Sorry, I'm looking at the sheet. I didn't even see if you made the pick or not.
No, you're good.
No, I just think that McCarthy going to the Raiders at 9th overall is, like, really good. You get the positional advantage, it being a super flex league. So I think McCarthy can be good here, just in general.
I totally don't disagree at all. Like, McCarthy 9th, Dunze 6. We're not talking about huge difference in draft capital, and one's a quarterback in a super flex league. So Raiders don't love it, but I don't know. We'll see what they do. I do like McCarthy, though. There's a lot of people think he might be the second best quarterback in this draft class. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. That makes 7 easy for me. I'll take Dunze then. This has kind of been the top 7 and probably the top 8, depending on where Dad goes. But this has definitely been the top. Well, I shouldn't say that. McCarthy, as of the last couple months, has snuck into, like, this top 7 or 8 ever since he's been getting hyped. But Dad, you're up at 108. Are you taking? Who are you going to take? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's Brock Bowers just fell in my lap, so I think, if we're talking tight end premium leagues, he's definitely going to be an asset. So he seems to you watch him in videos, he run routes like he looks like Kelsey, I know Kelsey's pretty good, and it's hard to. I'm not big into comparisons and stuff like that, but this, as soon as I watched a few videos of him, he looked that part. So, Brock Bowers, it is.
And even this, we're not playing it as a tight end premium, but he still probably deserves to go right around here. Goes to the Colts, 15th overall, so he's probably the number 2 target pretty easily for Anthony Richardson, and I like the Steichen and the coach. And in a tight end premium, though, you can make an argument for him over guys like Neighbors and Adunze if it's like +1 tight end premium. So Brian, I think you're on the clock at the 109. Where are you heading?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump down the list a bit, or at least as far as draft order goes, and I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks, who went to the Cowboys in this mock, kind of towards the end of the second round. I think, just going into, like, everyone's got the eye on who are the Cowboys going to take, who are the Chargers going to take, even the Giants kind of fit in that category. And yeah, I think we're going to see a couple of running backs, at least one of them, sneak into this first round. Like 9 might be a little bit early, but I don't really think so, given the landing spot, and we know how the Cowboys like to operate in general. So, plus, Jonathan Brooks, like if he wasn't injured at all, like he'd probably be going even higher than this.
Yeah, so he goes 56th to the Cowboys, like you said. Yeah, I don't, this is a mock draft, so before everyone freaks out, get over it. It's a mock draft, right? It's good to see, though, like, things don't always go as you plan. Like, in my head last year, I said, this is how the first 6 picks is going to go, and it didn't go that way. I was like, holy crap, and it changed. People are going to reach. Everyone needs running backs. Jonathan Brooks, the Cowboys is the gold mine spot. So I don't hate that at all. I'll take a quarterback here. I'll go Bo Nix. Goes to the Broncos. I think that's actually a good fit for Bo Nix. Can kind of dink and dunk in Sean Payton's offense. First round quarterback, 22nd overall. So super flex. We already have 5 quarterbacks gone in round 1 of your dynasty rookie drafts, and maybe there's going to be another one. Who knows? Dad, what do you think about the Jonathan Brooks real quick? Do you think it's too early? And then you can go ahead and up to your 11th spot.
Yeah, if you need him, if you need him, then do it. You worry about his health status, which we've heard nothing, which is fine. I guess we'll find out whether he's gonna, play in training camp and all that other stuff. But good landing spot. We're talking dynasty, so we're talking long term. So I don't think that's too bad. I don't think I'd take him in the first round, but
it wouldn't surprise me if he did, though. I guess.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, it's not it's not terrible, of course.
No, yeah, and we mock. We do a bunch of these, so might as well change it up a little bit for sure. I also think, just before you make your pick, if the Cowboys do take him there with their second round pick, to me it feels like they think he's gonna contribute this year because they want to win the Super Bowl. Like they're not a team that's like looking towards 2025. Like they want people who can contribute to their team. So where are you going, Dad, with the 111?
Yeah, the old speedster Xavier Worthy.
He goes to the freaking Dolphins.
I know. The track team of the NFL.
It's ridiculous. 21st overall to the Dolphins. Go ahead, Dad.
And then they don't have a guy who can throw deep, but yeah, he can kind of, but
he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad. But so
what do you expect from him in 2024? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. I was thinking of that. I'm going, my God, Waddle and good old Tyreek Hill, those are volume receivers and stuff like that. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Might not be much left. He'll obviously be the third receiver, but he makes a few long plays and stuff like that, and everybody will be jumping on board.
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill, could be gone after.
Could be
next year. Could be older at least. So
he's getting paid a lot of money,
and they might not want to pay Waddle either. So Waddle's already going into his 4th year. So they're not going to. Maybe they don't want to pay him, and this is their future replacement. So
I'd pay Waddle.
Yeah. Brian, I'm curious to see where you go because there's 2 guys I'm looking at. Well, 3, I guess. But anyways, where are you going with the last pick of the first round?
I think you're gonna like if it does play out like this, whoever this guy is, whoever the Bills actually take at the end of the first round, he's gonna go in the first round of rookie drafts in general, whether it is Brian Thomas or Troy Franklin or McConkey or whatever. But in this mock, they took Adonai Mitchell, and that would be my pick.
Yep.
I just think that the depleted receiver room, playing with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he's already got buzz around him in general, so you gotta love that.
Yeah. If I was choosing there, it's like a situation of, do I go with the guy I like a little bit more or the guy with the better landing spot? So I don't think necessarily there's a wrong answer. And yeah, I think that's totally fine. Taking 80 Mitchell, 28th overall to the Bills. Man,
So who did you like a little more? Because that should be
I
your
like,
pick.
yeah. Yeah, well, Penix was the other guy I was thinking. Like, he was like the third guy for me. But I'll take Brian Thomas here. That's the guy. I'm not a huge Brian Thomas fan. Like, I think he seems to be the clear-cut number 4. Here he goes as the wide receiver 5, 23rd overall to the Patriots. So don't love the landing spot. Also, the Patriots didn't get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. They traded out of it. They do get Penix in the second round, but that's obviously there's a skill gap between there. Penix is the QB, 6 off the board. So, yeah, I'll take Brian Thomas. I do like him a little bit more than AD Mitchell, but I love AD Mitchell's spot more. So, Dad, you're back up on the clock and it's kind of crazy. You're at the 201. You're still getting a guy drafted in the first round. Just shows you again the depth and talent in this draft class.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to the list, and I don't like where this guy's projected to go. Lad McConkey going to the Panthers, but I like the player. I wish he was going to the Bills or something like that, but somebody who's probably going to get this guy the ball quite a bit, but
do you think he needs volume to be like, do you think without getting the volume of like a Bills or Chiefs offense that he's more just a better NFL player than fantasy guy? Or what's your thoughts there?
Here I'll go. I say I don't like comps, but could his comp be Adam Thielen? Going to be his teammate?
Yeah.
So maybe I think they got to throw the ball to somebody down there, and
yeah, it's a little crowded with those possession type of receivers. You got Deontay, Thielen, Mingo. They're all kind of similar in that sense, but McConkey could be the best of them. So I don't blame you. You're taking the talent there more than the landing spot, so I don't blame you at all. Brian, where are you headed at the 203?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of agree with what you said. Like, I don't think there's like I don't really see it as like a ton of competition there, and one of the best prospects from last year throwing in the ball, so I don't mind that. Like, the Panthers. They can't get any worse, right? I mean, I say that,
Hopefully.
but maybe they'll prove us wrong. But
yeah,
I mean, Bryce didn't really have any weapons last year either, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I think the Panthers will be better, and Bryce will be better this year in general.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you didn't take Michael Penix, because I think he's the pick here. Like you kind of mentioned, he got taken 34th overall to the Patriots. Don't love the landing spot, but I think it is kind of telling that they're willing to trade out of the number 3 spot, and basically, I'm sure if they're doing that, they have their eye Penix in general, and you don't see anyone else mocked to them offensively before this to the Patriots. So that means they're probably getting linemen and defensive players, which I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. Michael Penix Jr., as people like to call him. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Me and Dad have been talking about this, like, because with the Patriots, probably taking someone 103, and like, we don't love the landing spot. Everyone hated CJ Stroud on the Texans, like everyone hated that. And look how that turned out. So if you're the real deal, you can make it work. And it's not the same old Patriots, they are different.
Yeah, it's true. No more Belichick and stuff. And yeah, I mean, these teams need to get guys to get better. They can't just keep doing what they were doing. So good for them for moving on from their coach and their quarterback and everything.
Yeah. I'm going to go, back to the decision. Do I take the better landing spot or who I like more? I'm going to take who I like more here. Troy Franklin goes 44th overall to the Bears. So he's paired with Caleb Williams. I know Keenan Allen, DJ Moore are there, so I don't know how much I expect necessarily year one, but one of those guys could easily get hurt. And then, Keenan Allen's getting old. He's probably a 1 year, maybe 2 year guy. I really like Troy Franklin. Like, I like him more than, I think his ceiling is higher than like a Ladd McConkey, a Roman Wilson. I like him more than A.D. Mitchell, and kind of even more than Brian Thomas. Although I do think Brian Thomas has like a safer floor. So I'm a big Troy Franklin fan. People are kind of all over the place on him, but I like him, and I don't mind the spot, even though it seems a little crowded. So, Dad, are you going to be a Michigan homer?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Why
fair.
not?
That's the other guy. That's who I was deciding between. So
Roman Wilson.
I'll let you talk about him. He does go 37th to the Chargers, so he's maybe the wide receiver one there. So do you think he is from week one? Wide receiver one? No.
No, probably not. To the Chargers, no, but they'll. I honestly, I'm having some faith with the Chargers. They got rid of their rotten coach. The coaches in there. I mean, they know what they're doing. It's just a matter of what the offense is going to look like. Is it going to look like? Don't forget the offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. He's the one who brought Lamar Jackson along. He also was the offensive coordinator when Kaepernick started with the 49ers. So
I think he had Tyrod Taylor's best year too. I think he was the offensive coordinator in Tyrod Taylor's best year too.
Where, in Buffalo?
In Buffalo, yeah. 2015.
Yeah. So, but none of those quarterbacks are like Justin Herbert. So, I mean, they're still gonna throw the ball. Somebody's got to step up and catch, passes and stuff. And yeah, Roman Wilson, give him the slot position. Let him work the slot. Hopefully, the couple other guys work out.
Yeah, it's highly overblown. Like that, they're not going to run the ball 40 times a game. They are going to throw the ball, despite what like everyone thinks. So, and Roman Wilson can play on the outside. Him, McConkey, and Ricky Pearsall kind of like, they're slot guys. All three of them can play on the outside, I think. So, but Brian, you're up with the 206.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you guys and assume the Chargers will run the ball 40 times a game, and I'll take Blake Corum, who went to the Chargers at 69 overall. Yeah, no, I really don't think they're going to run it 40 times a game. But, I mean, you get the synergy with Corum and why is the coach's name escaping me right now?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh. Just keep doing what they were doing in college. Like, yeah, Gus and now Gus Edwards and Dobbins are there, Yeah,
and we were talking yesterday. I forgot CJ Spiller's still there. Wasn't he a 3rd-round draft pick?
Isaiah Spiller, and
Spiller. Yeah, wrong.
I think I looked it up, and I think he was actually a 4th-round guy, but he hasn't done anything. I had him. I took him in Dynasty in our league, the first, in our startup rookie draft.
But
I just remember it was always like, oh, he's not playing, coach's decision. Obviously, it's a different coach now, but I mean, that was his whole first year. Like, he wasn't even playing in games as the number 3 guy.
Yeah, we didn't even play last year much.
Yeah, I know. He didn't do anything. I think his career ended before it even started, really. I mean, he's obviously not doing something right. So I don't think he's a threat.
Yeah. And by the way, Blake Corum was a 3rd-round pick, just in case you're not looking at the thing. Yeah, that's a good – he's one of those. I'm not a huge – Corum needs volume, I think. He's not going to be super efficient, but maybe he will be. But, yeah, I don't mind that to the Los Angeles Ravens of Michigan or something?
Yeah, did I see this correctly? Yeah, he got 27 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
We need we need a graphic art. We need a graphic artist to make us a logo of those 3 teams.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, 27 touchdowns in college. Not that you would expect that to happen, but he was obviously trusted in that area by this coaching staff. So
yeah,
there you go. Pencil him in. 20 plus touchdowns.
Right. 207 here. I'm deciding between a safer floor play versus an upside. I'll take the upside here. Xavier Legette, 51st overall to the Steelers. I think honestly he has like more upside than maybe any receiver outside of the top three guys. The dude's a physical freak. He's DK Metcalf. You know, he runs a 4.3 and he weighs 225 pounds. But he did absolutely nothing for 4 years in college. We've already talked about this a lot, but did nothing for four. Like when I say nothing, like his most yards before last year was like 150 yards. And it's just like, why? Like, why were you not good? Why were you not doing anything? Like, there's no receivers that came out of South Carolina the last several years. Like, there was no competition. And I don't know why. Maybe they're crazy at South Carolina. Who knows? But Legette was a monster in year 5 and normally don't like guys who don't break out until like year 5. But the upside's there. So I'll take a shot. So, Dad, you're up at the 208.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty good selection the way things are kind of laying out, and
still 3 second round picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, that was the other guy who was deciding between Slick Ricky. That's his name.
Sounds like a NASCAR name,
Right? Ricky Bobby.
Yeah,
he kind of looked like, I was just looking at his picture and stuff because I was looking at taking him, and he kind of looks like Will a little bit, our buddy, our fellow league mate.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
49th overall to the Bengals. Dad, do you think this means T. Higgins is either A, not on the team in 2024, or B, that's his last year? Like T. Higgins' is last year is 2024 at the Bengals.
Well, I think it's his last year. So they drafted a guy last year. I don't know where he kind of fits in their pecking order. I think Charlie Jones.
Yeah.
I know he's probably not a T. Higgins and stuff like that, but I mean T. Higgins was, I think he was a 2nd round draft pick and out of Clemson. So, but they gotta keep those wide receivers there, for Burrow and stuff like that. Give the guy. I mean, that's the the center of their team is their offense and their quarterback and everything else. So, so they got to keep on. You got to protect them. You got to have weapons.
And there's something too, like not paying these receivers ridiculous amounts of money when all these freaking stud receivers are coming out every year. Like well, I'll just replace you with someone young and cheap. Like, look at all these receivers that have gone in the second round or first round of the draft, So it makes sense. Makes sense. Ryan, you're up with the 2-0. No, I'm up with the 209, right?
No, I am.
Did I mess things up? You're up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do. Hold on, let me make sure I'm looking at my list properly. I think I'm just gonna kind of go with, and this is partially driven by landing spot, which isn't necessarily. Usually, you want to kind of bank on talent over landing spot, but it's a decent enough tiebreaker if guys are close enough for you. And Jermaine Burton going at the end of the second round to the Chiefs, I think is great. It doesn't get much better than that playing with Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be there, and hopefully you can be productive enough so you can keep your job there. Like, I was kind of looking at his stats, and it seemed like he did a lot with a little in college. His last couple of years, 39 catches in each of his last 2 years. About 700 to 800 yards, 700 one year and 800 the other. And it's like, well, that kind of plays nicely with Mahomes. Like, he's not like a crazy burner, but he's his 40-yard dash was 4.45, so it's not like he's slow by any stretch. So I will go with Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, he's such an interesting one because there's like underlying analytical stuff that say like he's better than, like he can be better than what he is, but in college, either at Georgia or Alabama, he was just a deep threat. Like his average depth of target was 20.2. Average depth of target, not catch. That means his pass, he's getting passes 20 yards down the field. The next highest in this draft class is like 15.9 or something. So it's just like, is he just a deep threat? At least you have a floor of like a better MVS. And then there's upside if maybe he develops into more. So, yeah, I like it. 64th to the Chiefs. I'll take Jalen Wright, one of my favorite running backs out of Tennessee. Again, has like didn't get used a whole lot at Tennessee, has all the underlying stuff you want to see from, potentially good running backs. He goes third round to the Giants, and he can kind of take over that spot, I think, and beat out Devin Singletary. So, Dad, I think I know who you're going to take.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take Trey Benson.
No, it's not about that. Okay. I like him, though. Yeah. 68th to the Patriots. Do you think he overtakes Stevenson year one, or do you think it's more of a year two?
No, I think it's more of a year two, But I think the Patriots, to be successful, if they got a rookie quarterback or who's the guy they got now?
For who?
Quarterback for
Brissett?
The Patriots.
Oh, Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah. For Brissett or even a rookie to be successful, the Patriots got to have some kind of a running game, and plus they play in shitty weather for half the year. So, So having Trey Benson as your second running back is what they need.
Yeah.
What about Antonio Gibson?
That's true, right?
Yeah, well, he's a backfield guy or out of the backfield guy, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benson could be the best running back easily in this draft class. So, and by the way, they did take Penix in this draft, so they could potentially be rolling with a rookie.
Is that really how you say it?
No, it's Penix. It's Penix. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I keep hearing Penix, but I don't know.
Penix.
I haven't heard it.
It just sounds like penis, and I'm a child, and so. There's still a player in the second. It's just crazy to me that we're at the 212, and there's still a player in the second round of the NFL draft. It's not like we reached too far into. We only took, I think, 3 guys in the third round. Again, the depth. So, Are you going to take that last second round guy, Brian, or no?
I don't know, actually. Like, I don't really know a lot about the last guy you're talking about is Keon Coleman. I actually kind of had my eye on the tight end, Jatavian Sanders. Just in general, like going to the Jets at 72nd overall. Like, I think that must mean Aaron Rodgers likes him because he's going to determine who gets drafted, because he's a diva. No, but seriously, though, what's that?
Is that who you're going to take?
Yeah, I'll take Jatavian Sanders, and I'll leave Keon Coleman for one of you two, I assume.
No, I mean, it's right there with the Jets, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about, like, oh, what if Brock Bowers goes to the Jets, and how exciting will that be? And it's like, yeah, I think you can get some good production. Maybe not, tight ends are so tricky, and you kind of need to just take shots on these guys, like, with your later picks. So 212 might be a little early, but I mean, especially if he's sitting there at the beginning of the third. Like, I think it's kind of an easy pick. Just take a shot on it. Your pick's not very super valuable, and get one of those onesie positions that are so hard to fill sometimes.
Yep, and there's not a whole lot of good tight ends reportedly in this class. So if you need one and you're there, then it might be your last chance. So I'll take Keon Coleman. That's the guy we were talking about. I think you already mentioned that, but he goes 45th to the Saints. Could easily be the wide receiver 2 for that team. Probably is. And a lot of people think he could be a fringe first round pick. That's why it's kind of crazy to me. He's 301. And again, I don't feel like we really reached that much. Like, there's just a lot of good talent. So I'll take him there. Yeah, he ran a 4.61 or whatever, but he, like Dad always mentions, in the gauntlet drill, he ran the fastest when he's actually catching passes. So what matters more, your speed when you're catching passes or your speed running 40 yards straight? Like, probably when you're catching passes, considering that's what you're going to be doing in the NFL. So a lot of people love him, like, as their top 5-6 guy. A lot of people are a little bit lower, and he goes, what? I don't even want to count, but it looks like 10th or 12th or something. So in terms of wide receiver, but yeah, I'll take him. Don't. I like the landing spot too. So, Dad, you are up with the 302.
I'm gonna dip into a guy I haven't thought of much until the past couple days, and that's Jalen Polk.
Mm-hmm.
He's University of Washington has a trio of wide receivers coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was one of them. Of course, Adunze gets all the publicity and everything else, but I kind of like he's like a 3-year starter at Washington. So I think he had an injury last year, so it's either him or a guy named McMillan.
I think it was McMillan
that had the injury.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of the latest in terms of mocks. This is one of the latest I've seen Polk go. Usually he's in the second round. So, and he goes to the Broncos, 76. And that remember, the Broncos don't have a second round pick. So,
or a quarterback.
Well,
they
drafted Bo Nix. Yeah. I know it's hard to remember what happened before, but yeah, and they could trade Cortland Sutton or all this crap coming out. So yeah, I like that pick. So
I've seen him and Troy Franklin, who went a number of picks ago, were like really close together. So,
oh yeah, definitely. Brian. 303. By the way, we're only doing 3 rounds. I know it shows 4, but we're only doing 3. So, who are you taking with the 303?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the next guy on the list, and Bucky Irving, taking 78th overall to the Commanders. Like, they're gonna be retooling this offense in general. You know, they got a quarterback earlier. There's already good receivers there, depending on how you feel about Dotson. You know, but you know, quarterback play has kind of always been an issue to kind of get that offense kind of rolling. So they got rid of Antonio Gibson. Bucky Irving caught a lot of passes in college in general. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys can speak to this a little more. Like he had 56 catches last year, but 30.
That's a lot for college. Yes,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, and he only had 31 the previous year in 2022. But that's still got to be a decent enough number for college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
that's a hell of a lot.
Plus, he's still ranting for over 1,000 yards on less than 200 carries. So he has like a good rushing average. Third round is not late. NFL wise, third round is not late for a running back to get drafted. And I think, I already mentioned that Gibson's gone. So I think he could be a nice compliment, 1-2 punch with Brian Robinson, and he can definitely take care of it on the ground as well through the air. So
and Eckler.
Oh yeah, he is there, isn't he?
I had to remind myself too. Just for reference, you talked about, is it a lot? Jahmyr Gibbs, everyone talked about he catches so much. His last year in college, he caught 44 and then 36 the year before. So those are a lot. So yeah, anything over 30 is like, oh, that's a lot of catches.
Yeah, I knew the 56 was a lot because even that's a decent number, like catches, not targets. Like 56 catches in the NFL is, that's getting into like crazy, really good territory. Like that's a lot. But I was just more curious about the 31 because I know they don't really throw to running backs in college per se, not on the same level anyways.
Yeah, and I like Bucky Irving. The big question with him is he going to hold up the weight? Is he just more of a 10 to 12 touch guy, or can he eventually be Austin Eckler, how he was, before last year, where he was doing everything? So I like Bucky Irving a lot. I took Spencer Rattler. Again, quarterback, super flex, keep repeating it, but Spencer Rattler, if there's anyone outside of the top 6 that are going to do anything, it is Rattler. And he could be better than like Penix or something. Like his arm talent is maybe better than anyone in this draft class, to be honest. And obviously he was like the top recruit out of high school, was on a Netflix show, kind of got replaced by Caleb Williams at Oklahoma. And like people called him immature because they had a camera in his face when he was 17. Like, how do you think we all would be viewed if we had cameras in our face when we were 17? So I think he's matured. He goes to the Rams, which I love. Like I want to see him, honestly, like Rams or Vikings, if they don't get a quarterback earlier, like in the third round. I love Rattler going there. So he could be the heir apparent to Stafford. So I'll take that value at the 304. Dad, I think you're up whenever.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Tez Walker. We have a mock going to the Buccaneers, so receivers are getting a little old down there. They drafted Trey Palmer last year, who played quite a bit, but this guy could be playing sooner rather than later.
But, all these guys are dart throws at this point, theoretically. How I always approach when you get into like the third, who can be relevant in 2025? If you're relevant in 2024, great. But who do I see a pretty easy path to 2025? And he's one of them. Evans, Godwin. We don't know if Godwin's going to be there. Trey Palmer is nice, but he's a 5th round pick who flashed, but it's not like he was amazing. So Devon Tez or Tez Walker, don't hate it. Brian, you are back.
Yeah, I think you gotta go. Like you said, like a lot of these guys are dart throws, and I mean, I think if you're getting a 3rd round running back still, like where are we at? Are we at 3-6? I'm not looking at the 3-6 or 3-9. Yeah, so the middle of the 3rd round for us, which is basically right where this got taken. This guy gets mocked in the actual NFL draft. Braylon Allen. running back going to the Browns at 85th overall. Like, I like that. I know there's been a lot of talk about this dude. Like, he's just giant, like 6'2", 245. Very productive in college, So I know that kind of worries people sometimes, where it's like, oh, well, he's already had 600 carries in college. But I don't know. Maybe he can hold up. So I'll throw the dart. Obviously, like, Chubb's not going to be there much longer either. On the Browns, that is. So there could be a nice spot there for him. Maybe not this year. Hopefully next year. Whatever. Maybe even this year, because Chubb might not even be ready to go. And maybe he can outperform Jerome Ford. So I like Braylon Allen here.
Yeah, I mean, he has the profile to be an every down workhorse. We were just talking about 17. We're all idiots. This dude was 17 and rushed for almost 1,300 yards in the Big Ten. He was 17 years old, playing against Michigan and Ohio State, and this guy, and he was 17 the entire year. His birthday's in January, so he was 17 years old, which is insane. He's only 20, which teams are gonna love.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that too. Yeah, he's already turned 20 this year, so he's going to play essentially the entire season next year as a 20-year-old running back. It's like, you got to love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty insane. So I am back. Man, I like Malachi Corley. He just went to the freaking Packers, man. It's just another receiver in that freaking receiving room. I'll take the other Washington receiver that Dad was talking about, and Jalen McMillan. I like him. I don't think it's crazy to think he goes to the Ravens in the 3rd round. I know people are going to freak out. I don't think it's crazy to think he could be the best receiver on the team. I think he's kind of underrated. He's kind of my favorite 3rd or 4th round dynasty rookie pick, because no one talks about him at all, because he was the 3rd receiver for Washington. His route running is awesome, and he could just be Flowers could have his role, but for fantasy, Jalen McMillan could be the best, So I'll snatch him up here, even though the Ravens isn't necessarily ideal. But all right, Dad, if you got another pick here, second to last.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the tight end going to the Bengals, Ben Sinnott.
Mm-hmm.
So Bengals use their tight ends. You said it perfectly there about 5 minutes ago. Maybe this guy's more of a 2025 player. I think he'll be on the field and playing and stuff like that. There's a lot of hands to throw to. A lot of receivers who want the ball. So, this guy isn't going to be a volume. Could be a red zone target.
Yep. He's an interesting one. He's very dynamic backfield. He's kind of a hybrid tight end fullback.
Kind of fantasy, we'll see. Juszczyk.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. Even though Juszczyk is more of a fullback and stuff like that. But
yeah, Ben Sinnott he's more, I think it's Sinnott. More versatile, more athletic too. His explosive combine numbers are really good. So, yep, don't mind that. That's 3rd round pick too. So, all right, Brian, you're on the clock. Your second to last pick.
Yeah, I'm. In general, I hate nepotism, but I am gonna go with Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice. Yep. He's got a great coach. Literally his dad, right? As far as being a wide receiver, not super productive in college, but not terrible either. The site that the ESPN that I'm looking at, it's I don't see targets on here, but it seemed like I can see receptions, and he's only got around 40 or so the last couple of years at USC. But it's he made a lot of hay with them, Well, last year, 800 yards and 12 touchdowns. And so, I like the landing spot with the Chargers. They're obviously retooling they took someone at the beginning, right? Like one of the big guys, I think. Or no, it was in the second round.
They took
I'm like
second round.
I'm deleting all the names as I go. So like
Roman
I'm like,
Wilson.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, not a lot of competition there. So he could easily become, Herbert's number 1 or number 2 guy. Maybe not easily, but it's definitely like in the mix. And going at the beginning of the 4th round is not great draft capital, but gotta love the landing spot receivers going to. I almost said San Diego to the Chargers in general.
I wish it was San Diego. Yeah, just for reference, because his counting numbers are not crazy, and you're like, oh, he played with Caleb Williams, and what's going on? He did have 70 targets, and then he had 791 yards, 12 touchdowns. That was over 33. That was 33% of USC's. No, sorry, 29% of USC's receiving offense. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but they weirdly didn't have that necessarily great of a year, as you would think with Caleb Williams. So I always like to look at the percentage rather than just the raw numbers sometimes, because they can, Jermaine Burton's another one of those, like, oh, he had like 700 yards. Oh, and then you look, it's like he was 34% of Alabama's passing offense. So, I like that. It reminds me a little bit of like Keenan Allen when they drafted him in 2013 in the 3rd round, and kind of like he doesn't do anything. The only thing he really does like special is like route running, and he's not super fast or anything like that, or maybe he's a little bit smaller, but his route running is on point. So, man, I'm just going to take a guy because I feel like I haven't really talked about him in a lot of our mocks. I don't know if I'd necessarily take him right here, but I might if I need a running back. Marshawn Lloyd. Again, he's. I take him from you.
Yeah, I would totally like. Oh, he'll sneak under the radar because he's kind of far down there. Like,
yeah. There's still three receivers that are in the 3rd round that we could have taken, but I went to the 4th round, took Lloyd. He also, like Jalen Wright, has like he wasn't used a lot, but has all the underlying stuff of could be the best running back. Goes to the Ravens, so probably doesn't do much in year 1, but takes over for Henry after that, and on a good offense. So. Sorry I took him, but Dad, you got one more last pick? Anyone you want to talk about in particular? Or?
Yeah. Brian used the word nepotism with Brendan Rice. Well, I'm going to go with Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah. I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Texans,
wide receiver. Right? Started college football as a quarterback, and figured out he couldn't throw the ball very good, and then he turned into a wide receiver. And I heard he's runs pretty good, and he's a good route runner. He just doesn't lack the experience, he lacks the experience. So might be a little bit of a definitely a dart throw here.
Yeah. If he goes to the Saints, it's like hello, new Taysom Hill, basically, but maybe not as a tight end, but more of a quarterback running, throwing, catching stuff. So, all right, Brian, finish it off. That sounds weird. Finish the rookie draft. The 312. Who are you taking?
I'll throw another dart at tight end. Mostly based on landing spot. I don't know too much about this guy. I don't even know if I've heard his name before. Because some of these other guys I definitely have that I'm taking them over. But I gotta love the Chargers landing spot again. I'm just gonna take all the Chargers. Apparently, I think I took 3 in this mock. But
we're gonna add your name to the Los Angeles Ravens of Brian's Michigan or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, Jaheim Bell going to the Chargers. At the beginning of the 4th round. I just really like the landing spot in general. And we're throwing darts, and like I said before about tight ends, like you kind of just need to like take some of these guys and just hold on to them for a few years. I mean, you might not necessarily. I mean, he's a perfect taxi squad type guy, right? Like he's actually kind of small for a tight end. Which is kind of surprising. He's only 6'3", 240, which is funny to call that small, but because anyways, I just kind of like the maybe you guys can speak to more like what he did in college, if anything. Like I'm looking at his stats and it wasn't amazing, but
he was kind of hyped. He was one of the tight ends, before the season, throwing his name out there, and as a potential, like 39 for 500, like 500 yards is actually pretty good for a tight end in college. Like those are not bad numbers. Again, like I'll reference Brock Bowers. His best year was obviously 940. So we're talking about a big difference, but it's not like Brock Bowers is like 1,500 yards or something, right? So I did hear someone, I forget who it was, they were saying like, I think it might have been one of the CBS podcasts, but they said like, besides Brock Bowers, are there any other fantasy relevant tight ends? And they said Ben Sinnott and Jaheim Bell was the other guy. So some people like him, and I think receiving wise, he could be something. Now, is he going to be a great blocker? I don't know, but we don't care about that necessarily for fantasy. There's still 3 receivers that were in the 3rd round. It's just crazy to me that you'd be taking in the 4th round of a rookie draft. Javon Baker, just throw some names out there. Like Javon Baker's a guy I've been hearing a lot about. I always see him mocked in the 2nd or 3rd round. I don't really see it, but obviously like people who do mocks and stuff do. Malachi Corley, I really like. He just went to the Packers. Johnny Wilson, who was teammates with Jaheim Bell, like he should have been the tight end because he's like 6'7".
Yeah, I know. I was looking at some of his stuff, like on, I was just like, oh my god, like,
yeah.
I like Will Shipley, the running back. I think is he out of Clemson? Is that the guy?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard his name talked about with some of the experts and stuff like that, and whoever got Marshawn Lloyd, that was just a couple draft picks ago. That's a pretty good catch too, I think, at this spot. So
running, just like running backs are so much more likely to do something, whether they're drafted in the 4th or 5th. If they're the RB2, they're way more likely to step up when the guys get injured. And, we know this from fantasy. Like, we don't pick up, the wide receiver got hurt. Let me pick up the wide receiver 4 because he's going to go into – it just never works out that player does anything. It's always the running back. So it's kind of the same philosophy here. It should be a little bit more running back or tight end heavy in these 3rd or 4th rounds. So any last words, guys? Any other players you want to highlight or anything?
I like the name Jamari Thrash. I don't know anything about him, but I just like the name.
Yeah, that's a good name. It is a good name. So we'll finish up there, and we maybe the last one we'll put out until real landing spots and real mock drafts. That's not the right terminology, but actual landing spots, and we'll be doing mock drafts based on those real landing spots. So
are you guys going to do something live like you were planning?
Yep. Well, I'm going to be live, Dad. Hopefully you join me. And
I told Brian to get an Uber.
We'll go live for probably the 1st and maybe the 2nd round, depending on who watches, and we'll do some rookie mocks directly after that. So watch out for that. And that is all. We'll catch you guys in the next video.